너무 긴장해가지고.
Was it a farewell, or was it a promise? That is the question echoing across millions of hearts after what may go down in history as the most emotionally charged performance BTS's Jungkook has ever given. On the surface, it was just another concert. A packed stadium, thunderous applause, sea of purple lights, and Jungkook standing at the center of it all, flawless as ever. But those who were present say something felt different. Something heavier. Something final. And then, just before the last note faded into the night, Jungkook leaned into the mic and whispered words that left the world speechless. What did he say? Why did his voice tremble? And why did the rest of BTS stand behind him, silent, visibly emotional, like they too were hearing it for the first time? As the clip of that final moment spread like wildfire across social media, armies began decoding every breath, every glance, every syllable. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was a revelation. The build-up had been long. Rumors were swirling for weeks. Fans noticed the subtle signs. Jungkook spending extra time during rehearsals, looking over the stage as if memorizing it, his longer-than-usual bows during encore performances, his tearful gaze into the crowd. Something was coming. But no one expected this. This wasn't just any farewell. This was the last performance before Jungkook's military hiatus. A reality that fans knew would come, but were never truly ready for. Yet what caught everyone off guard wasn't the fact that he was leaving, it was what he chose to reveal in his last moments on stage. There was no grand speech. No dramatic announcement. Instead, it was a quiet, heart-wrenching confession wrapped in a whisper, one that stunned even his own members. Cameras captured it. Microphones picked it up. Fans froze. And in that one sentence, Jungkook managed to do what he has always done best, move millions, without needing to shout. What was that final message? Why is everyone saying it changed the way we'll remember him forever? The answer lies not just in the words, but in the story leading up to them. A story of pressure, loyalty, hidden pain, and ultimate love. From secret studio sessions to an emotional phone call with his mother just hours before the performance, everything had been leading to this moment. Stay with us as we take you behind the scenes of Jungkook's final show. Not just to relive the music, but to uncover the truth behind the silence, the tearful smiles, and the shocking final words that have left ARMY wondering, was this really goodbye, or is Jungkook planning something we're not ready for? From the very first note of the opening song, Jungkook's energy was electrifying, but something felt different. The stadium was alive with ARMY's chants, the sky lit up in purple waves, and yet, beneath the glitter and thunder, something in his eyes told a different story. Was it nervousness? Was it sorrow? Or was it the weight of everything he had carried for years finally catching up to him? This wasn't just another stage. It was the stage. The final one before his enlistment. And though Jungkook has always been known for his professionalism and dedication, even he couldn't fully mask the storm brewing inside. As the night went on, his performances grew more intense. Fans noticed it right away. How his vocals seemed to shake just slightly more than usual, how he paused longer after each song, staring into the sea of light sticks with a kind of longing that words could never capture. He was saying goodbye without actually saying it. The songs chosen for the setlist were no accident. Every track held meaning. Still With You, the solo track he gifted fans during the pandemic, brought many in the audience to tears. His voice, raw, trembling, made it impossible not to feel the emotional depth behind each lyric. Some fans whispered that he was close to breaking down during the bridge, when the words "Don't let go of my hand" hung in the air like a personal plea. And yet he held on. Why? Because Jungkook wasn't ready to cry. Not yet. Not until the moment truly demanded it. And as the concert reached its final act, the emotional dam inside him started to crack. Cameras zoomed in as he pressed a hand to his chest during Euphoria. A single tear escaped during My You. But still, he didn't break. Not until the last song. The final song wasn't a chart topper. It wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was soft, intimate, almost like a lullaby. And when Jungkook began to sing, it felt like time itself stopped. The stadium hushed. Even the cheers faded into silence. He walked slowly to the front of the stage, spotlight following his every step. His voice, though angelic, now sounded fragile, like someone holding back everything inside, trying to stay strong for the people who gave him everything. That's when it happened. As the last note lingered in the air, Jungkook stopped singing. He took a deep breath, and for a moment, he simply stood there, eyes glassy, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. Then, in a whisper, he said something that wasn't scripted, something that wasn't rehearsed, something only he could have delivered with such soul-shattering honesty, and it shocked everyone. Members behind him turned, eyes wide. The crowd gasped. The moment didn't feel real. No flashy goodbye. No rehearsed message. Just one line that shook the entire fandom. And finally, after trying so hard to hold back, Jungkook let the tears fall. This wasn't a farewell to fame. It was a farewell to a version of himself that fans had known for over a decade. The boy who had grown into a global icon was stepping away, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. And in doing so, he gave fans one final gift, his vulnerability. But what did that one shocking sentence mean? Why did the members react with such intensity? Why did RM look down, lips pressed tightly? Why did Jin, already back from service, nod solemnly from backstage? Whatever Jungkook whispered, it wasn't meant just for the crowd. It was a message wrapped in emotion, possibly meant for someone very specific. And as ARMY began dissecting every syllable, theories began to emerge. Did Jungkook just reveal something he's been hiding for years? Could this have been a secret promise? Or was it something more heartbreaking than anyone imagined? The answers might lie in the days leading up to this show. In the dazzling chaos of concert preparations, sound checks, makeup retouches, rehearsals, there was one moment that wasn't caught on any official camera. No press coverage, no behind-the-scenes footage. Just silence behind a closed door and a phone call that lasted less than 5 minutes, but left Jungkook staring at the floor, holding back tears. What happened during that call? It was just hours before the stage lights would rise on what the world now calls the final show. Staff were bustling around him, stylists fussing over his jacket, choreographers giving final instructions. And yet, in the middle of all of it, Jungkook stepped away. Quietly, unnoticed by many, but not by the members. Jimin had seen him leave the room. Taehyung later admitted in a post-show livestream he needed a moment alone. "We didn't ask. We just knew." Jungkook slipped away to a quiet corner of the venue, reportedly a small hallway lined with photos of past BTS shows. A place filled with memories. And that's where he made the call. To whom? No one said officially, but multiple sources close to HYB and the staff strongly suggest it was his mother. Why would Jungkook call her right before the most emotional performance of his life? Because this wasn't just a farewell to fans. It was a farewell to his identity as an idol, even if only temporarily. It was a closing chapter. And before that chapter ended, he needed to hear the voice of the one person who believed in him before anyone else did. Reports say the call was quiet. Few words were exchanged. But those nearby noticed that Jungkook, who had walked into that hallway with confident steps, emerged looking changed. Eyes slightly red, jaw set tightly, expression calm but heavy. Did she say something that changed his entire mindset? Did that call give him the strength to say what he would whisper later on stage? And more importantly, was that the moment Jungkook decided what he was going to reveal, there is something about the bond between a mother and her son that even fame can't alter. It's the foundation that carried Jungkook from Busan to Seoul, from a teenage trainee to the world's most recognized performer. And in his final moments before facing the crowd, it was her voice that grounded him. Fans noticed a subtle shift in his energy once he returned. He smiled more, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. He hugged his members longer. He even bowed to the crew, something he always does, but this time, there was an extra layer of gratitude. Almost as if he knew this would be the last time he'd experience it, at least for a while. And then came the most telling moment of all. Just before the show started, backstage cameras caught Jungkook standing still, his hand over his heart, eyes closed. No words, no movement, just silence. What was he thinking? Was he praying? Remembering something? Or perhaps repeating the words his mother had just told him? Whatever it was, it stayed with him throughout the entire performance. And when he finally whispered that shocking sentence into the microphone, the world may have heard it, but it's possible only one person truly understood what he meant. That sentence wasn't only for the fans. It wasn't only for BTS. It was personal. It was layered. And the clues to its true meaning might be hidden in the life Jungkook has kept private for so long, because the most emotional goodbyes are the ones that aren't explained. And now, ARMY is asking, did Jungkook just tell us something about his future plans? Was that last performance the end of an era, or the beginning of a new chapter we weren't expecting? As the stadium lights dimmed and the roar of ARMY reached its peak, there was a moment that most cameras missed. A shadow moved near the side of the stage. Not a manager, not a backup dancer. It was someone who shouldn't have been visible to the crowd at all, but someone who had every reason to be there. It was Jin. Recently discharged from his own military service, Jin made no official announcement that he would attend Jungkook's final concert. And yet, there he was, standing just beyond the spotlight, dressed in black, almost camouflaged in the darkness. No cameras panned to him. No one from the production team mentioned it. But a few fans close enough to the edge of the stage caught glimpses. And what they saw has now become the most talked about, emotional mystery of the night. Why was Jin hiding? Because this wasn't about celebrity. It wasn't about being seen. It was about being present. About being a hyung, a big brother, watching his youngest member walk into the moment that Jin himself had experienced not long ago. But unlike Jin's departure, which was filled with emotion but carefully managed, Jungkook's felt heavier, more final, more uncertain. Perhaps because Jungkook is not just any member of BTS. He's the youngest, the one fans have watched grow up in real time, the one who held the group together through the storm of global fame, and whose presence has always been quietly powerful. Jin knew what was coming. He knew what it would feel like when Jungkook stepped off that stage. And so he stood there, silent, respectful. And when the last notes rang out and Jungkook finally turned to leave, something happened that wasn't part of any planned choreography. He stopped. Jungkook stood near the edge of the stage, looking into the crowd one last time. His hand came up, not in a wave, but a soft, almost unconscious gesture of longing. That's when Jin emerged, walking slowly from the side. The two didn't embrace dramatically. There was no exaggerated reaction. But those who saw it, felt it, they simply looked at each other. And then Jin leaned in, said something only Jungkook could hear, and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. What did he say? The microphone didn't catch it. The cameras didn't zoom in. But Jungkook's face gave something away. His eyes suddenly filled with tears, his jaw clenched, and his hands trembled for the first time that night. Was it a message of comfort? A reminder of what lies ahead? Or maybe a promise? Some fans believe Jin said, "We'll wait for you." Others speculate it was more personal. Something only Jin, who had just returned from his own service, could say to someone about to walk the same road. Whatever it was, it changed Jungkook from that moment on. Every step he took felt heavier, as if the weight of the stage, the fans, the memories, and now the quiet support of his hyung had all settled onto his shoulders. He didn't run backstage. He walked, slowly, quietly, each footstep echoing with a kind of painful finality. And then, just as he reached the exit, Jungkook looked back, not at the crowd, not at the cameras, but at Jin one last time, and words were exchanged. Just a nod, and that silent, emotional exchange has become the new mystery fans can't stop discussing. Was that moment planned? Was it Jungkook's request for Jin to be there? Or did Jin come on his own, knowing that no matter how strong Jungkook appeared on stage, he would meet someone familiar waiting in the shadows when the lights went out? This wasn't just a performance, it was a passing of emotion. A moment of brotherhood, of closure, and maybe, just maybe, of hidden promises that will be revealed when Jungkook returns. But there's more, because what came after this silent moment was something no one expected. A sudden backstage recording that has just leaked online, capturing Jungkook's voice, still shaking with emotion, saying something fans never thought they'd hear.